We're live, day 39 of the assignment. I'm your host, Pamela Denise, and welcome to my channel. I got some things that I need to process out loud. Is it cool? Because I'm in a place in my life, I'm in between seasons. Um, I've never, hear me, I've never considered, I was married for 13 years in a relationship with the same man for 18 years. And after that relationship was over, I had I had what I call, excuse me, it's not what I meant to do. Give me one moment. Okay. I had After that relationship was over, I had what I call an ambiguous season. I left the relationship feeling unloved, rejected, and so I looked for love in the wrong places. So I had a season that I call my ambiguous season. I don't need these on because I don't have notes. But after that season was over, then I began to see God diligently. I said that because the marriage that I was in was not a bad marriage. It was a decent marriage. We were good people, but the marriage was decent. But the year before, God had told me that you don't get what you want, you get what you create. And he told me that I had the ability to create my great. I could not know that. I had just turned 50 years old. And the year before I just turned 50, and I said, I don't want to spend, because I've lived this life 50 years, I don't want to spend the next 50 years because God promised me long life. I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like necessarily, but I'm preparing for it. But I said, I don't want the next, if I have 50 more years of my life, for it to be like this. So I figured I had to make some changes. It was a necessary ending. So since I've gotten clear about God, with God, my ambiguous season is over. I never considered myself single. Like I've never considered myself single. I consider myself whole because I'm an alignment coach and I work diligently to be a whole person, equally, more spiritual maybe, but mentally and physically. I acknowledge each part and I develop each part. So I've never considered that, but I think that was a part of me that was not being truthful with myself. And I want to have a conversation with myself because I know that our words create our world. Um, I have been on assignment since the end of 2022, definitely 2023. So I've been on assignment for 2 years solid. So I could not even open my mind up. That's why I never really thought about me being single because I'm thinking like, well, I'm working on something, right? And when I first got called to speaking, one of the first talks that I did, it was with my community, but I had to tell my story because they're prepping you for this new life that you're about to embark on. So I had to learn how to tell my story. And my story had been that I read a book, Create Your Great, around that time, and I had never created my great before. And the year after I wrote the book, me and my ex-husband, we separated, and I used the book to begin to transform my life. Well, my life was just beginning to transform at that time. And but I remember talking and saying that because I was newly a single person. And I said, well, I believe, I said, sometimes we can do too much as ladies. I know that I'm a very friendly person. I'm friendly. I'm nice. And so I could smile and kiki, and sometimes it'll come across as flirtatious, but it's not. I made a vow, but not made a vow to God. I told God because I believe that before I got on assignment, I believed that if you figure out what it is that God created you to do, I'm having a conversation with myself. As soon as I said that, I know something coming out. If you figure out what God created you to do and you start doing that, get focused on that assignment that God knows where you are, what you need, and how to get it to you. If it is a relationship that God desires for you to be in, I'm talking to myself. If it is a relationship that God desires for you to be in, He knows how to get it to you. Because my last real relationship was my marriage. And what's interesting is I had, and I say this to myself, like, I chose him. Now, he asked me to marry him, right? But I was in a place in my life that I call the top of my singledom. I had got married at 25, got out of that marriage real fast. Soon as it went down real fast, I got out. And now I'm learning how to be myself, because I was really young when I got married the first time. Learning how to be myself. I'm learning and I'm understanding that I have power. I have authority out in this world. I have presence. So I'm figuring that out. And when I was in this really solid place, so I thought, I met a guy. It was ladies' night. And I had been on what I call my personal development journey. And because I had just recently had my son, and a couple years before I just had my son, and I knew that I was completely responsible for his life. So we started going to like bookstores all the time. We would go on dates to Barnes and Nobles and the Borders, and we have cocoa and we read books. And I started reading a lot of personal development books because I knew that I was responsible for raising him, and that I didn't know enough to make him everything that he could possibly be. So hence my personal development journey. And so I have been reading and I have been growing and I have been learning. And I've done a little traveling. I'm raising my son. The real estate market I'm making waves out there. And then I met this guy. And I was feeling myself. Whoever watches, I was feeling myself because I was at a place that I had never been. But that's what life is. It takes you on a journey, and there are levels to it, right? So I reached this place, and it was ladies' night out, and because I was feeling so confident, um, we caught eyes. Me and my ex-husband, we caught eyes, and I've told this story several times. But before I left out, because my chair is sliding down, because we had caught eyes, it almost felt like a challenge. But I came outside. I kind of wanted to connect. He was encircled by women. I mean, that part way too long. But he was encircled by women, long to short. Well, I don't have to be short. This is my chapter, right? But I'm be concise. I put my card in the center of the circle. He was literally surrounded by women. He's a nice looking man. Wasn't nice looking man. A nice looking man. And because of my confidence level, I thought it wise, literally, this him encircled by women. I dropped my card in there and said, "You have," because he did have an incredible smile. I said, "You have the most incredible smile I've ever seen. I thought it imperative that you have my card before we leave," right? So I dropped my card in the ring. Like, he narrowed it down quick. He narrowed it down quick. Within a couple weeks, we were dating, right? A few years later, we got married. But I say that to say, I was at a place in my life, and I'm talking myself through something, because I was at a place in my life where I was just realizing my power, right? And not that I even really wanted to be in a relationship. I was feeling a little cocky. So, bam, drop my car. I got a little game, but I'm different now. I am born again. I am renewed. My mind, my life is transformed, and my mind is definitely new. Because when I tell you right now, a few months ago, it was several months ago, I just began to open myself up to ask God to open my heart, because I've been so focused in on assignment and doing this work and in it. And my thought process had been that I gotta wait until, because I'm so focused. I definitely can't have no distractions, that's for sure. But there will be no distractions, only alignment. I'm talking myself through this because I don't get what I want. I get what I create, and your words create your world. So I knew that I was focused on some things, and I felt in my heart, because of where I had been in my life, that in order to be worthy of a relationship, you got to have a little bit more going on, right? Meaning financially, because my money right now sucks. Right? My money sucks. But that's about to change. It has only been a temporary, very, very inconvenience, temporary as it is. But in my mind, you got to get your money right before you get into a relationship, Pam, because the culture's got all this, what you bring to the table and all of this. That's not really why, but in my mind, because I've been this independent woman all of my adult life, all of my adult life. And hold on for a second. I have been an independent, and you know how independent women are. We are we need our own money. We gotta have our own thing going. We gotta have. But my mind is different, and this is within the past few days. That's why I needed to process this. That I definitely desire to be in a relationship, but I feel like there is value in in working through some things together, right? Like not coming into it, because me not having my money being crazy right now has nothing to do with my value. And anybody that I was to get into a relationship would definitely see that. Like I'm whole and complete. So I'm processing this for myself. I had to tell myself, Pam, you gotta have it all together, because then what else would there be? Because I got everything but the money. You hear what I'm saying? Which means that the money's real close. So I'm like, that means that somebody will have to be close. I'm processing, because I I've got all these tools. I've got all this emotional intelligence, an extensive vocabulary, strategies based on biblical principles, understand my assignment. But having to put that into a space with another person who has their own stuff going on is a little concerning. That's why I needed to talk this through. Nothing popping right now, right? But I understand that once I align my energy in a direction, that things will happen. And so I need to process, because I like to think I've got all this emotional intelligence, and I do. I understand, because people would even say, well, and it's true. You attract. Mm, we're going somewhere here. You attract who you are. That is true. You're almost like you're like a magnet for what you are. So when you get something, can only attract people on a level of where you are. So if you're attracting not good stuff, I had to tell myself that a few years ago when I was in that ambiguous season. I was like, how did he even get here? When I'm thinking that I'm in a space, and I'm like, I can't be. I can't be if I allowed him up in this space, right? So now it's different, because I am in a space, um and on a different level. I've grown tremendously, and I literally live this life. Like, no, that ain't patting myself on the back, because it's my reasonable service, right? But I really do. My faith is strong. Don't mean that I'm solid every day. I cried today. Actually, I tried. I felt the cry in my heart, and I wanted it to come up, because I wanted God to feel some compassion for me. But it wouldn't even come up, because I really didn't even want to cry. I just wanted some compassion. I wanted a little compassion from the Lord, so I tried to unction up, conjure up a cry, but I couldn't even do it. But I want to be vulnerable, honest, and transparent in my whole walk. So I need to process this here. I love that I get to do this on YouTube. I love this for me and anybody else that it could possibly help, because this culture has us our minds so dark, whereas we almost look at the opposite sex as like the enemy. We don't know how to balance our emotions. We don't know how to have healthy conversations. when you meet somebody who got as much or almost as much going on as you, that there's going to be a level of understanding, especially when you're thinking about joining lives in space. So all that has to be considered. And I have to say this, it has been concerning for me because if Pam been over here in Pam's little world for the past couple years, and it's been cool. But the truth is, my life, the journey that God has allowed me to live and experience, I think it deserves to be shared with someone. I think that, I think I represent it very well and represent very well for whole women because, again, I never really related to the single aspect because one is a whole number. It's one is a whole number, and I am aligned within myself. Like I wouldn't even go to the single events at the church and stuff like that. But it's a new day, and I feel it. I'm discerning of seasons and times in my life. I have to be, because I'm on the lookout. I'm on the lookout, and when the seasons change, I got to be able to shift with it. That's why I don't attach to too many things, because if God say move, I move just like that. So I remember saying when I spoke that God knows where you are, what you need, and how to get it to you. I believe that. I know that to be true. And so now, because if if you think about it, I got myself into that last situation. And don't get me wrong, I don't have any regrets. I chose as good as anybody could choose, right? Since the choice was mine, I chose a good husband. But God did not choose for me. And I'm like, if I chose, I did okay. Now that we're doing this again, I've got to let God choose. There is no way I would go choose a husband again. No way. And it's wild to me because I said before I got here in this state of mind that, oh, I'm definitely choosing because I felt like I've been married twice. I allowed both of my husbands to choose me. Now, when I say that I came on to my husband the first time, but I knew when he asked me to marry him, I wanted to date him. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to date him. I wasn't looking to get married again. But, we had been together 5 years, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married. But I didn't want to get married. Honestly, this chair is giving me flux. Hold on. I didn't want to get married. Can I be honest? I did not. I did not want to get married the first time, but I didn't want to fall into sexual sin. I did not want to get married the second time because we had horrible communication. I want to get married this time. But the difference is I chose both of those men. I'm not choosing this one. So this is something that I'm wrapping my head around right now because I know that my words have power. I know that I don't get what I want, I get what I create. And me having this awareness of where I am in my life, like I I understand that I don't really know how to be a wife. I am, but I've been riding solo for so long. I have a friend, um, sister in the workspace. She's my sister cousin, I call her. And she is teaching it because all of us have gifts. And so we're trying to put together something really special for the people, a package, that includes every aspect of your body, mind, and spirit, and even relational. She's putting together a class of sorts for women of, who desire to be or who are wives. And when I say that, I respect her marriage so much because she fully operates in her gift, in the calling that God created her to. But she rocks and serves and honors her husband like no new age woman, newfangled women don't treat their husbands like she treats her husband, and I love it. I love it. he treats her the same way, though. They are a unit. And I just don't see that often, right? So I'm so thankful that she's in my life and that they're an example of what, because I'm getting clear about what it is that I want. Like I'm gonna create something here. Even just with my being and yielding to it, right? I'm not gonna go make it happen. I can assure you of that. I'm gonna keep my mouth. They're gonna have to be real clear about what about want to date me, because I will not throw my hat in the ring no more, ever. Like this why I'm walking by faith, because I want God to lead me. I want Him to lead me. So I'm trying to figure that part out. I'm trying to figure out how to show somebody that I am even the slightest bit interested without going too far. Because I'm fast. I was fast in the world. I know how to be fast, and I'm not fast no more. So I'm just trying to figure out how to just stay on assignment. That's why I'm processing, y'all. That's the truth. I'm processing, because it's some come. I gotta have gotten all these goofies out, all of this extra energy out. It's not goofy. It is processing. I appreciate being able to process, because I do have to. How do you do it, Pam? You stay the course. You stay on the assignment. What's interesting is people say that I have really high expectations of a person, what a person is supposed to be, come into my life. And I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I got really high expectations of myself, right? So yeah, they're going to be there's going to have to be some alignment, not an expectation. I'm not putting my expectation of who I want anybody to be on anybody. If they're not aligned spiritually, mentally, and physically, they won't even be a candidate. they won't be able to get that close to me, because you got to have a real relationship with God. You have to have mental acuity. You have to be able to think beyond what you're able to think, because you don't know what you don't know. You got to, in order to lead me. In order to lead me, you got to be able to learn what you don't know, in order to get us where God's trying to take us. You got to. And physically, you have to be able to take care of, you have to be willing and currently taking care of your body. Be cognizant of what you put in your body, and exercising. Why? Because we are people of a certain age and our bodies are dying. And if you're not attributing to your overall health and well-being, then that shows it shows lack of discipline and lack of self-love. Because when you recognize that the spirit of the living God is in you, and that our bodies are not our own, but they belong to the Lord, your body is a temple. And so you should take care of the temple of the living God. So those are the three things that a person would have to have in order to be in my face talking about anything of a personal nature. Because anybody else, they won't be able to get there, because they're not aligned to. Your alignment is for a reason, because it keeps you in position, and it keeps other people out of your face or out of position. If they're not aligned with you, if they're not aligned with you, and you end up in a relationship with them, that means that you don't went back, because they can't get to where you are. They cannot get to where you are doing the work that you're doing in this season. Pam, take it, because that is what alignment is for. It is to protect you. It's to lead you. It is to position you. It is to make you and form you into who God. It's like we really are the clay on the potter's wheel. That's what alignment does. And God getting off, giving us what we need, taking away what we don't need, and all of it feel like, here we go again. It's the adjustments that we got to make, because He is making us into His image. He is here. We will see Him as He is one day. But right now it's like a mirror, but He is forming us. His word is a mirror, and it is a lamp. And when we look in it daily, we are supposed to be able to see ourselves and make the adjustments that's necessary. So that's where I am with it. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I am getting clear, because I wouldn't even say, first, there was no space. There was no space or no thought process at all. I had to ask God for this space to be able to even think about it. But that was a few months ago. And now that I thought about it, I gotta imagine what it'll look like so that I'm not surprised. Like somebody end up posting, I'd be like, whoa, whoa, where you come from? Like I need to, because I I could not see people. So this is me preparing myself to see, because I know what God is putting in my heart, and so I know how we create things. We speak them and we process. We process our feelings, because this world got us against each other, and it should not be. It should not be. I you know I'm. They have this thing called a soft girl era. Like I'm not necessarily interested in that either. Like that's the truth. I want a real partnership. I want a real partnership with somebody who is clear in why God created them, and and pursuing it passionately. And and I would love to be a help me to a vision, and have somebody support me in mine. Like that would be amazing. And I know that it's God's plan for my life, because it was not even a desire in my heart. Now it is. He said that if I delight myself in him, he'll give me the desires of my heart. So thank you for allowing me to process. There's more, but even with there being more, hold on, wait a minute. Even with there being more, like I'm not trying to do too much necessarily. I'm really just trying to clear. I'm trying to clear my thoughts as it relates to where I am, how I think, and how I'm feeling. Because in order for me to create space for it, I got to get clear about how I'm feeling. I love this mature Pam, and I'm looking forward to what that's going to look like in communication with someone of the male persuasion, because I talk the good talk, but a relationship challenges you to be more if it's the right relationship. That's the only type of relationship that I want. That's what's interesting, is one that will challenge me to be my very best. Like not putting pressure on you, but just knowing, not because I don't need pressure. I don't need pressure. Right? You know what I'm saying? God said, "Cast my cares upon Him." I cast my cares upon Him, but I also know that I am responsible for the information that I have, and that the information that I have is valuable, and that the world needs it. So I do have responsibility to be all that I'm supposed to be. So I'm thankful, and thankful for the opportunity to process. I'm gonna see how this continues to process, because I think I said enough as it relates to just getting some of it up off me. Just getting some of it up off me. I didn't even talk about what time I got up, because you know what happens? Once you make the adjustments, it becomes, you get right back on track. I fell off a little bit. I made those adjustments. Like I'm on here earlier now, because getting on here at 9 o'clock just wasn't working. It was getting me to bed too late, getting me up later. Thank you for allowing me to process. Thank you for joining. I wish you would chat with me, chat, but it's all good. Until tomorrow, if the Lord says the same, it'll be day 40, but I don't want to get ahead. We on day 39. 30 days, 39 days locked and loaded. 365 is the assignment. Until tomorrow. Peace. Be multiplied.